just signed out. Now it's time to tune in. Welcome to Sign Out with Kyle the PA, the commute companion for PAs, PA students, and pre-PAs. Real stories from real PAs across every corner of the profession. Your journey continues here. Here's your host, Kyle the PA.
I'm extremely excited to introduce our guest for today's show, Keith Coe. Keith Coe is a board-certified physician assistant specializing in dermatology based in New York City. With a passion for patient-centered care, Keith blends medical expertise with a relatable and approachable style, helping individuals better understand their skin health. He is committed to making dermatology accessible through education, transparency, and advocacy. Beyond his clinical work, Keith actively engages in community initiatives and creative content, aiming to empower patients and peers alike. Keith, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kyle. I'm excited.
So, dermatology is obviously a really popular specialty, especially among PAs. And I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to hear about your experiences as a PA in dermatology, about dermatology in general, and just hear some of your stories and experiences. So let's just go ahead and dive right into it. Where'd you go to PA school? When did you graduate? Where are you now?
Yeah, so I graduated from PA school about 3 years ago in 2022 from SUNY Downstate. So that's the PA program I graduated from. And I ended up in dermatology straight away after PA school. And yeah, it's been a great experience since then.
Nice. Did you know that you wanted to go, because you went straight into dermatology, which obviously is not easy as a new grad, or at least
That's
it's
correct.
easy.
hmm
Did you know you wanted to go into dermatology, and how did you know? Why did you know that you were going to go into derm?
So, truthfully, I didn't know what dermatology was until I got into PA school. The funny story about dermatology with me is I decided to go into dermatology because I wanted to, well, kind of ruin the dreams of my classmates. Because everybody, almost about maybe let's say like 70% of the class, or maybe 60%, were like super eager to go into dermatology, and it was an elective in in PA school. And I decided to just, why not? I would just choose dermatology for the heck of it and for laughs. And I got in, to, the very surprise of a lot of my classmates who, really wanted to get into dermatology. Um, and I think it's been one of the most, life-changing decisions I did on a whim. Yeah, it really exposed me to this field where it is, I guess it's my calling, I would say.
Hi. So it started as you trying to spite some of your classmates and rub in their faces, hey, I know you how bad you want this, and I'm just a casual about it. I'm just a casual about dermatology, and I'm just gonna beat you all to this dermatology rotation.
Yeah, that's kind of it, to be honest. But I would say the one classmate that did go into derm with me, um decided it wasn't for her because it was too
Oh.
boring. Because it is very repetitive. Derm is very repetitive. So I think at the end of the day, it's like really polishing how you communicate to, patients about, certain topics over and over again until you get like a certain kind of script you go through where you can really explain it properly without too much medical terminology, I would
Mhm.
say. And you also have to be like efficient with it. So it can be complex at times, but I wouldn't say it's often that it will be complex, which is, good or bad thing, depending on your type of person, right? So I would say the classmate that I went to the derm rotation with me, she ended up, not liking it and decided to go to like OBGYN, which, can be, very complex. Basically you're learning, you learn only so much about OBGYN in PA school. So
True.
yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, I would say the same for derm too. I feel like you only learn so much derm in PA school too.
Yeah.
So transitioning from PA school to practicing dermatology, what was that like? Like, what was that transition like? Because, and I also just want to point out, I like what you said about, it's repetitive, and then that classmate of yours realized it wasn't for her, because I think that a lot of folks romanticize a specialty before they go into it.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, I think we all know every specialty has its downsides. And, once you don't really know until you start practicing it or until you get exposure to it. But let's talk about, your transition from PA school to being a derm PA. What was that like?
I mean, transitioning from PA school to Derm PA, or dermatology in general, it is a learning curve. I do still remember like the first month, 2, 3, 4. I would say I I start to get the hang of things around the third or fourth month, but I was more of a go-getter. I really like to like push myself and learn more about the material and do, as much as I can. So I really like just immersed myself, seeing a lot of patients,
Mm,
doing a lot of procedures, practicing my skills. Because derm at the end of the day is a lot of procedural activity. It's very heavy on procedures. So you really have to get those skills down, for sure. That goes from injection, suturing, biopsies, learning to handle like the razor to kind of shave. It's a little bit, you can't use too much force, but if you don't use enough, you won't be able to cut through. So, practicing, like fruits and stuff like that. Um, yeah, and suturing. It was you only do like so much suturing. I think I did the most suturing in my emergency rotation. So that really helped a lot. Um, but I think I really liked derm because at the end of the day, I needed something procedural in my job because if I need something, I'm a little, I guess it may be a little bit ADHD. Like I need to move a little bit. Or else I get like bored. But like ER was just not the place for me because that was
Missed-
a little bit too crazy for me. So like derm was like the perfect blend of procedural but not crazy stuff. Like I mean, I could get into ER a little bit later, but yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't have to get into it, but I know for a fact it's not for me either. There's a lot going on. That's maybe too much stimulation.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe, but I feel like if you like ER or not. But it sounds like you found your calling. It sounds like derm was a good fit for you.
Mhm.
It sounds like to me that it still continues to be a good fit for you because I feel like after a couple of years of specialty, you start to get a sense of, is this something I want to keep doing or is this something I'm going to switch out of? But I'm getting the impression that, you're like 3 years in and you're still wanting to stick with derm. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I always try to research the newest stuff in derm, whether it be like hair loss or acne. Newest stuff I can like kind of, touch upon or bring up to my patients because derm is a very evolving field every day. There's always new medications, stuff, for a lot of these chronic conditions, which are, can be very life impacting. It could be like vitiligo, psoriasis. Like these are
Mhm.
conditions where um a patient's self-confidence is at play. So it's very it's a field that I'm very passionate about and I'm like happy there's like so much like new developed in it. In my time starting in derm, like back in the old days where like my attending would say there'd be like there's only like so much you can work with, right? You got like medications like methotrexate, which are like at the time we're like, oh my God, this is life changing. And now we learn that this is like a terrible medication. And why are we starting patients on this medication when we can start them on the newest and like safer biologics for derm?
Nice, nice. I want to start getting into like a little bit of the nitty gritty. Like I know that there are going to be some like PA students listening, some people who want to get into derm, and I know that they're going to want to know, some of these more detailed questions. So I'm just going to go out and ask you, like, what does a typical day look like for you? Like, how many patients are you seeing? Um, who gets you through the day? You know, where's the attending if you need them? Should you need them if you need them at all? Like, what does that look like? You've already
Yeah,
talked a little bit about the training and transition process, which are super helpful. But I want to know, like, what does Keith as a derm PA look like now today?
I mean, I would say my attending is always like a phone call away, basically.
Okay.
And derm is a lot of like I can send pictures of a certain rash or anything to my
Mhm.
attending and they'll be there to, advise me on certain things. But I think the beauty about derm is there's always a way out,
How,
if you don't know it, you can always biopsy it, right? Of course, that's like a little bit of a last resort thing, but there's always that option, right? You can't. There's an escape card. There's a
that's
get out of
true.
jail free card, which is great, right? If you don't know, you send it to the dermatopathologist and they'll figure it out. But it's a lot of acne, it's a lot of mochaks, a lot of rashes, right? Skin cancers, biopsies, and probably like hair loss. I would say like those are like the very most common conditions.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So
And I guess you said about patient load. Yeah, it could be, 30 to
if you're
35
comfortable
patients like
talking about it, if you're okay with talking about that.
yeah, about like 30 to 35 a day, if not more. It's always, it's good to see more.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I guess it's gonna when it's like I'm sure very RVU based specialty. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, I'm kind of speaking to this. I'm trying to imagine if I was, a 25-year-old, PA student or like PA early in my career, I'm looking to get a derm. And I have this opportunity to sit down and talk with you like I am now. I'd want to know like what what are the things that you wish you knew, or what are the things that you could go back and tell, second year Keith about being a derm PA, going to derm? Like, what do you wish you knew? What would you tell someone if they're about to go in the derm?
If they were about to go in a derm or like kind of trying to get into derm, something like
Trying to
that.
get into derm or very
Trying
interested
to get
in
into
derm?
derm. Yeah, yeah. So, definitely, number one, I will probably want you to get some sort of experience in dermatology. Whether that be like electives in PA school, which is probably one of the better ones to do, or if you were playing your cards right even before PA school and derm was really what you really wanted, you were a MA in a dermatology office, so you know how fast and efficient you need to be in the office, and it can be very hard at times. Patients can get backed up, but that's like a very outpatient thing. But you have to learn how to be efficient. Um, and being an MA in a very fast-paced dermatology clinic can prepare you for, the worst days.
Mhm.
So I would say it is not fun and games in dermatology. If you want to make the big bucks, you're seeing a lot of patients no matter what. If you want a good casual life, yes, there are definitely derm jobs like that, but you won't be able to make the money that everyone says that dermatology.
You got to grind, it
You
sounds
got
like.
it all at the end of the day, it is just a hustle, no matter what.
Okay.
There is no cheap way or fast way, or well, there's no easy way to the pot of gold. I would say derm is just because you can do a lot of visits in a short, well, 8 hour or 8 to 10 hour day. You can rack up a lot of collections. That's why. Not many, specialties are able to do that, right? Like, let's say if you had a patient for a wart, like that's gonna take like 2 minutes, like, and you can see like 10 of wart patients in like 10 minutes. Like, let's be real here, right?
That's true. That's a good point. I don't know if there's any other specialty where you can see a patient in 2 minutes and then see 10 patients in 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's like very rare specialties that'll do that. But again, it can be very boring for certain people, and they say like my classmates, like it just wasn't for them, right? Some people really need the challenge. Um, I just really love just refining what I do. That's what I like. I like to refine it as much as possible, which is why I don't get bored of it. And there's always new stuff to talk about in there, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that. I can tell you really like what you do, and I've talked to enough PAs over the years to be able to tell when someone really likes what they do, or if they're just kind of like, it's a job. Like, it's okay. It pays the bills. I get to take care of people, but I can tell that you are excited about, what you're doing, the future of dermatology and your future in it, which is cool to see. Because a lot of PAs don't feel that way, or a lot of clinicians don't feel that way after enough time. Um, but I'm sure, like with any specialty, like with any job in general, there's going to be things that aren't quite as, luxurious as you'd imagine. So are there any things that, you know, are sometimes a little bit challenging about the specialty, about being a derm PA, about, it's just a little bit harder. Like, some of these things you just have to push through. And it's like, unfortunately, one of the, what's it called? Like one of the, like a poison you just have to drink. I don't know if that's the right metaphor.
Yeah,
But
I mean, well, what like the poison I would probably say would be a lot of clinicians suffer through it. All right, it's no big, no new, no, it's nothing like different. It's just prior authorizations. Like it's
uh,
really like the bane of my existence. Derm is just like prior authorizations every day. All right. So
it sounds terrible.
if you don't have a good PA team, like expect to not love dermatology. So like I remember doing a lot of like PAs for biologics, and that really like crushed my dreams. Fortunately, with the new like at least for New York Medicaid, there are preferred biologics which makes things like so much easier. But still, if you need to like step it up, it's annoying. At the end of the day, it's very annoying. Like I like that's like the that's what I hate about derm the most, like having to like deal with, the middleman, the guy in the suit. Um, but that's something a lot of specialties suffer through. And it really takes a certain person to kind of get into derm. Like you said, some people may treat it like a job, and it can really reflect it in their how they practice to patients. It can get very tiring. You're talking to, let's say you had a very hectic day, you had 60 patients. You're talking to 60 patients, right? And it can be a lot. Good, thankfully, no true emergency calls, there's nothing like that.
True.
But you sometimes you really need to decompress at the end of the day. Like I suffer very badly from dissociating after work. I just sit in my car and just like look for like 15 minutes and don't do anything. I don't pick up any phone calls or anything. So like
You just
that's
mute until the next work
I,
day.
I yeah, I just like kind of just go mute. Like I enjoy silence because hearing phone calls, hearing just noise or like just talking for like 8 hours, it's like all I want is like silence at the end of the day. So and I can be a very chatty person. But at the same time there are days where I like, I just gotta I'm gonna shut up, and you need to shut up too. Can't do anything.
That's funny. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think about that because I feel like for a lot of us, like a lot of our time, or at least on the inpatient side, I spend a lot of time just writing notes and reviewing charts. So
Mhm.
I can just like put in AirPods and just sit there in silence. But for you, like you are face to face with someone for the entire day and you're just talking the
Yeah,
entire day.
you're talking to people, you're doing notes at the same time. Fortunately for derm, like notes are pretty like they're pretty easy. They're very quick. That's like one of the things why I wanted to get into derm. I didn't want to get stuck up writing like notes like in primary care. Oh my God, my primary care elective was writing essays, man. I chose medicine to not write essays, and I'm out here writing essays. Like I should have just done English instead, an English major. And I was like, why am I writing so many words? I don't want to do this. That's why I chose like derm. I was like, I don't have to write long notes, and I get to do like procedures, and that's it.
It's true. Yeah. In primary care, you're expected to see patients like back to back to back, but you're writing like their entire life story.
Exactly. Yeah.
True. That's true. Instead, you're just writing the story of the rash.
Yeah, exactly. You're very like focused. Your physical exam is focused. Is a good
Okay.
part.
And also the derm folks are like completely outpatient. And I'm like, I've only ever been completely inpatient. I almost never I don't know if I've ever seen a dermatologist in the hospital, to be honest.
I
You
mean,
know,
if you're derm inpatient, I would probably just sit there and just wait until like SJS and then come down and then not do anything. Like that'll probably be like the most chill job. I feel like what are you gonna do? I remember when I was in my ER rotation and I had some experience of derm, right? Because I finished my derm elective before then, and they had a rash for one of the patients in my rotation, and they were like, when is derm available? And like, ER starts early for my rotation. It was like 6 or 7. It's like derm doesn't come in until 9. And it's like, wow, we have 2 hours. And like, yeah, just take what the PA student says. He probably knows enough, And I was like the derm consult for like the for just the whole ER rotation. It was like, oh, there's a rash. Oh, that kid loves it. Just give it to him. And I was like, and I did. I was able to like diagnose every single rash that came in the ER and in my like family medicine rotation. Like the fellow there was like, I don't know what this is. I was like, that's just a fungus rash, bro. Like, like I literally asked like the right questions. And I was like, so you have something. So he had a rash on his hands and just like one of them, I believe. And I asked him, so do you have like rashes on your feet too? And he said, yes. I was like, okay, yeah. So it's tinea. And he's like, how do you know that? I'm like, okay, man, I got you. He's like, just give him the antifungal medication and he'll be good. He'll come back well. And yeah, that's what I knew was like, it's a lot of pattern recognition. And somehow I really love that. Like it works well for my brain. Like once I see it, I remember it, which is a lot of what derm is about. Like, just working for those like 3 years, there's just like a lot of pattern recognition. Like once you see it, you know it. Certain spots where they happen, you just like, oh, I think this instead of other ways. Which is why sometimes even before like a patient says anything, I kind of know the story already, but I still want to hear them, just in case. But like most of the time, like I'll be able to see it and be like, 3 or 5 minutes in, I'll be like, okay, I know exactly what to do next, but I still need to just, dot my I's and cross my T's just to be sure. But like you get a really good understanding of what you see very easily after some, couple of years.
Nice. I like that you said that it's a lot of pattern recognition. It's like, it's good for someone that likes pattern recognition. I feel something that I've realized about like, I think just in medicine in general is that different specialties attract different types of personalities. I think it'd be true, especially, with the joke about people who go into like ortho or people who are like bros and jocks. I think as someone who went into internal medicine, I think a lot of like internal medicine tends to attract like a little bit, I don't want to say more introverted people, but people who like to spend time thinking and pondering, complexities of medicine and medical care. And so derm, it sounds like, are people who like, visual, people who like pattern recognition, maybe folks who like to be very hands-on too. It's like a combination of that, like the visual, the hands-on, the procedural, and also the pattern recognition. That's good to know. But the other thing I want to get into before we get carried away is, you have a big social media following. You have like 10,000. I mean, I'm not on TikTok, but I see on Instagram, you have like 10,000 followers. You're putting out content. Right before you joined the call, I was like looking at your content. I was like, dang, he's put out like a couple new videos since the last time I checked. Like,
Yeah.
what's that look like for you? Like you're a derm PA, you're busy, you're seeing like 30 plus patients a day, but you're also out here making content, just like talk me a little bit about that. How'd you get started? What do you talk? I don't know. Just tell me about it. I'm curious.
I mean, I started making content in PA school. It was a way for me to like creatively express my my burnout, I would say. In COVID, it was a lot of like skit based during COVID, a lot of like it was like out of like just there's a lot of skit based and kind of like I don't remember the type of content it's called, but it's just kind of like you mimic the sounds, like you just like whatever, there's like a blurb and you just mimic it and you try to like I try to like incorporate it into like the PA school life. And then I kind of hit a rut, right? Like I'm finished with PA school. I'm not gonna make PA school content. There's a lot of PA school content creators already, and I believe at some point you kind of like you get hard stuck, right? Everybody follows you for PA school content, and then you're not in PA school anymore. So what's next? So I decided I didn't really post too much like reels at the time. I still posted content here and there, try to test the waters out. But I really focused on my first year working in dermatology, was just trying to learn medicine, trying to know what I'm doing, trying to learn the craft. And then I started to make, I guess, more professional, I would say more medically in-depth content in my second year. So it's about, I would say probably like 2 years now that I've been posting like kind of, I would say dermatology content. And I finally hit the stride of, hooks and all that stuff, social media, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, finally it's been paying through. Like I told myself, I'm going to give myself 3 years. And if 3 years, nothing happens, like I'm out, man. Like I don't even, I'm done. But it seems like, effort has been paid off. I put a lot of effort in it, like just kind of making content almost like yeah, like you said, I post like about maybe 5 to 6 times a week, right? I
Yeah,
try to
that's a
save
lot.
I save weekends to try to maybe like brainstorm and do some like content creation. Like sometimes I even film like even on the weekdays too. But it is definitely my 5 to 9 after my 9 to 5. Like I like barely stop working on like once I finish clocking out of work, I start to think about what to do next for my content. Fortunately, I have posted enough and made enough content where I can just, recycle content, revise them, and just like republish them, repolish them up, and then like I don't have to do as much like brainstorming now, right? So I think that's a good part of what since I've been posting a lot, like I can just like repolish my old videos and see if like repackaging them is gonna make it, better. But yeah, I think it's been such a great journey. It's helped me connect with, so many different new providers, content creators. It's gotten me, um, become a part of the professional organization. So the STPA, I'm part of their
Mhm.
communications committee. So part of like kind of like their social media team. So like
Wow.
I'm pretty happy about that. Like I'm so happy to like to bring my expertise, I guess, and my willingness to be on the camera. I guess not a lot of people like to be on camera, which it is a tough cookie to swallow, because you're exposing yourself to the public. There can be ramifications of that. I try to hide as much as I can if I don't want to share too much, but um I think it's important. There's a lot of misinformation out there at the moment. There's not many, I guess, medical personalities out there that do the same amount of, work that we do. Of course, there are, notable ones, but life gets in the way of, some social media personalities, start to just, they have to like focus back on like their clinical work, right? So like, some dermatologists, after residency, they have to focus on doing clinical work. And then the social media dies down. So there's always like a cycle of social media personalities, I believe. It really depends of, how much you're going to push. I'm still young, so I'm like willing to push as much as I can. Ideally at the end of the day, I guess like what I really want to do with my social media account, which kind of ties into my goals as a PA in general, to be able to develop a certain presence where I'll be able, like something similar to you. I think you did this where you did like volunteer work as a like a medical missionary.
Oh
Did you
no,
do
I never have, but I would love to.
Yeah. Oh, you had that. I thought you did do that. I
No,
don't
no,
know,
no. I mean,
but
I would.
that's something I really want to be able to, do. Maybe I was able to find sponsorships through my social media and like kind of sponsor
Uh,
a dermatology like medical mission trip.
that
Like
would be
that's
great.
something I would really love to do.
That would be very cool.
Not only I'll be able to like help others in need, like definitely like because derm derm gets the reputation where you can't get access to them, because we're expensive. I work with mostly Medicaid patients, so I don't really get that. But I understand, yeah, a lot of people on the internet be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna like go to my doctor just for a pimple. Oh, I'm just gonna pop it, whatever." Um, but I mean, you don't know what you're touching. Sometimes it could be like skin cancer. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but there's definitely a need for dermatology in more impoverished areas. It's less. I guess the specialty is less. How do I rank this? It's like not as necessary, I guess, compared to like internal medicine. Like people will probably go see a family doctor before they see a dermatologist or anything like that, right? And I get that, right? Like hypertension is probably a little bit more concerning, but things like skin exams, full body skin exams,
Mhm.
not many people get that, right? So that's something I really would love to be able to do. At some certain point in my career, I'll be able to, take a step back away from, clinical medicine and just like maybe do like maybe like half of the year I'm like doing medical missions. Like I'll be like well off financially to be able to do that. Like I don't need to like work as hard, but I'll be able to still give back. Like that's like a really big goal of mine to do. Like I've been like thinking about this ever since I got into like PA school. Like my first PA I shadowed, she talked about medical missionary, and I was like, wow, that's like that sounds like my dream. Like that's like what I wanted to become a provider for, to like, help those in need. And you still, everybody needs money at the end of the day, to kind of like, pay for, food, rent and stuff like that. But I think I want enough where I'm able to not feel like the sting of like you need money, while able to, help others in need. Like I don't have to like worry about food, rent or anything, and I can just like serve, like I guess I would say like rural areas or even other countries, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like medical missions, they cost a lot, right? You have to pay for all the equipment. You have to pay for all like the medicine that you're going to provide for those, I guess, impoverished communities yourself. So you're taking a cut from going to work, and you're taking a cut for all the supplies and all that other stuff, travel and housing, right? But
Yeah.
that's why I feel like, maybe if I have like a really big social media presence, I'll be getting a lot of like sponsors, and, I'll be able to develop relations with other like, content creators or like, medical like content creators that, are willing to be a part of like, this, this passion project or passion dream of mine,
Yeah.
That's what I really want to do at the end of the day. Like that's something I really strive to do. I hope to be able to do that, probably when I'm like around 30, when I'm still I still got a little bit of energy in me.
Yeah. It's funny. I was going to ask you, like, what you were hoping to achieve with your social media presence and the content you make, but it seems like because I thought you were, I as someone who doesn't do any sort of like content creation or like influencing, I thought that people just do it purely for the fun and the creativity of it. But it's very obvious to me that you have very specific goals in mind that you're trying to accomplish. Like you have these end goals, and I can see why it's such serves as a great motivator to continue, doing your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. Do you have any tips or like advice if you were to give, like, I don't know, let's just say like 2 pieces of advice for someone who's trying to get into making or creating medical content?
Number one is to start now. And whatever flops, you probably have to fix. I think one of the biggest things that I had to come, face to terms with was like being too medical. So sometimes you attract a certain, with the words you use, you attract a certain, audience. If you use too big medical terms, you're just going to attract your peers, which is great. You want that, but you're not also reaching your target audience, which is, I guess like the everyday people, right? The patients you see, like they won't understand like big words like pathophysiology or stuff like that, right? Maybe after a lot of your videos, they start to, do their own research, and they become part of your peers or your tribes, a little bit more well-knowledged, but you have to, use layman's terms, which is why I do it too. It teaches me how to like, convey what my patients have in a more easier language for them to understand. So that's like social media is also, teaching me to be a better clinician every day, just to like use different analogies and stuff like that.
Okay. So
that's my first advice, is to start now and just like refine what you're talking about. And number 2 is to accept the terms of reality where people will criticize you no matter what. I still get a lot of comments where like Aquaphor is poison. You're a BS doctor and all that type of stuff. And the thing is, number one, those types of comments at first they hurt me, and then I see like the bigger leading dermatologist content creators, and they share the same exact type of people that share the same exact of hate comments. So if you're getting those type of hate comments, you're probably doing something right. Because if they're successful and they're getting those hate comments, you're probably going to become successful too. Like anyways, every comment you get is going to be, it's going to help with the algorithm. So accept it, try not to get it on, try it. Hopefully it doesn't ruffle your feathers. It sometimes ruffles mine when I get like a really bad clinic day and somebody says something like dumb on my like videos, and I'm like, oh, I gotta respond. Like it's been a bad day. I gotta vent on somebody. And then I vent, but I try to do it politely, and then they still like, you can't change people's mind at the end of the day, which is which is hard. It's just something they have to, they will have to like learn and research on their own. But at the day, if you know what the content you're providing is medically sound, medically correct, you should not be afraid of posting that content. And I would also say that, there's a lot of egos on on social media too, right? Like I get a lot of comments for saying like, you're just a PA and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, if I'm providing what my content is medically right, FDA approved, et cetera, reaches guidelines, like I don't care what you have to say, right? I'm not out here selling supplements. I'm not out here telling you to do x-rays for eczema. So I feel like what I'm saying is not going to hurt the general public, right? I just want to help them. And that's what my goal is. And that's all I ever try to do. I try to like, teach people, inform people, try to, connect with people. That's all I want to do at the end of the day. And if other people, whether they be residents, MDs or DOs, they have something to say about that, I don't really care, because if they wanted to do something about it, they would start posting content too. Okay. But they haven't. So it's like people just want to drag you down at times. And, those are things you're just going to have to accept. And I've been connected with other, dermatologists, and even attendings, family medicine doctors, internal medicine doctors. So I know that the people that, stand with me on the battlegrounds of combating misinformation, medical misinformation, they appreciate what I do. And I know I'm with my people, and I don't need to, you cannot cater to everyone. And that's how life is. You can't appease everyone. Like I learned this the hard way through social media. Like it's just not possible. Some people are going to hate you, and you can't do anything about that.
Well, we appreciate what you do, Keith. Thank you for putting out that content, representing us as PAs. We're getting to the end of our, sign out. So I'm just going to ask you 2 rapid fire questions. I didn't tell you beforehand I was going to ask you these, but 2 questions. First one, really quick, short answer. One thing that everyone should be doing with their skin or hair.
Skin or hair? Oh, okay. I would say for skin, definitely sunscreen. I have to say sunscreen. If I don't say sunscreen, I'm doing my whole specialty a disservice.
Okay.
For hair supplements. Oh, this one's a tricky one, because hair is still like a kind of evolving field, which is why I'm like I like to like do more research about it. Everybody likes to talk about hair loss, guys and females included. But I would have to say the only shampoo that's kind of clinically shown or like researched to have any results on hair growth would be ketoconazole shampoo. So 2% is prescription strength, and 1% can be found over the counter as Nitro. So feel free to try that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And my second question, our last question, is any final remarks, any last words you want to share with our listeners?
Man, any final remarks?
You don't have to have one. You don't have to have
Don't go to dermatology if you think it's just going to be fun and games. It can be hard at times.
I like that. All right, Keith. Thanks for taking the time to sign out with us. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to hearing from everyone about how they enjoyed this episode. Looking forward to chatting with you hopefully again in the future, maybe seeing you at some PAAH events or meetups. It's been a pleasure. I hope you had fun. I know I did.
Yeah, it was great here. And if anybody wants to just join my journey, my Instagram handle is @Keith Dermatology.
All right, check out Keith, everyone. Thanks for signing out with us. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.